All right, so I'm planning to record some of the exercises that we've been practicing inside the gym so that you could do some homework, but also I'm going to open it up to anyone who is interested in improving some of the areas with the interpretation that I have of the movements that I learned online. I learned from coaches, I learned from different sources, and sort of like I try to explain that with that idea that I have that first we're gonna learn letters. So it's gonna be letters, words, phrases, or letters, words, sentences. So understanding what is a letter, and so how does a certain phrase consist of certain words and letters. So we'll be unpacking at the letter level. So I'll say this is the letter, and then the word, and then the phrase of how word is placed overall in the sentence. So the first is pummeling, understanding pummeling. A lot of times what we've done in the gym, there's a lot of confusion of what am I doing with my arms. So one arm is here, the other arm's here. If you watch the video that we record, there's not a lot of coordination here. There's not a lot of coordination with the feet. So what's important is to understand how to move your feet, but at the same time it's important to understand how to coordinate all those pieces together. So what I do is I translate that into the letter format. So the first is movement of your feet. So first of all, before we get there, just the basic foundations is what are your stance? So we talked about the stance, your dominant leg forward. If I'm a right-handed, so my right leg is forward, and my right arm is essentially protecting. So there's a connection. My shoulder is above my knee, and so I'm ready to defend if someone is going for my leg, right? So I'm essentially in this move. So you can practice this move. There are basically three stances that you can practice to start with. So let's unpack stance. One is when you're more standing like straight in front of the person. So it's really not the staggered stance that you have when one of your feet is forward. So you can practice this movement where both of your feet are essentially, if there's a line, imaginary line, they're in the same line. And then the other one is when my dominant leg is going to go forward, or my left leg is going to go forward. Now, my left leg is, we talked about this one, it's more like MMA format. This is the leg that I'm going to be attacking. But in wrestling stance, a lot of times I have someone who has the right leg forward, and if I want to attack the back leg, I'm going to move the person forward so that there's a step here. So first of all, you can just practice at home movements, which is moving forward, backward. So small steps like this when you have your stance. And one of the things that you can add is, for example, there are exercises when you're touching the floor. So again, I'm doing everything with my back arm. Okay, so at home you can. You don't need anything. You don't need mats or anything like that. So if I'm a staggered stance, I'm just moving like that. So I can go back into the what's called square stance, or I go back into the left leg forward. So right leg forward, both in the same line, left leg forward. Now when you move, generally speaking, you move the leg that is front first, if you're moving forward. If you're moving backwards, the one leg that is in the back is going to move first. If I'm moving to the side, right leg is moving first. And if I'm moving to the left leg is moving first. So what I'm trying not to do is to cross my legs, because if I'm crossing my legs, I'm less stable. Or if my feet together, I'm less stable. So I want to have some distance between my legs, and I want to maintain that distance. And you can work on this at home as you do the exercise, right? So I'm here. My dominant leg is protecting my leg, okay? And you can do this. You can imagine that you're with an opponent, and then you're touching the floor. There's a lot of drill exercises like that. Or you can move back. So obviously, if I'm changing the stance to left leg being forward, then my left arm is over my knee, and my shoulder is over my knee as well. So I'm more doing exercise with my back arm, right arm in this case. Okay. So pummeling, we got into a position where first letter is moving your legs, right? So my legs are here, I can remove my arms and just do exercise like that. So I'm here. Obviously now the final scenario is I'm trying to put my arm underneath on the hook, and then the other one is on the top. So now you can imagine once you cleared out the legs, because then when you're doing the pummeling, it's like, oh, what do I do? So first legs, right? And it's really the stance that you're changing here, right? More staggered stance. Okay, so legs first letter, L, I guess, legs. Now you can look into your shoulder, following the legs, right? You're turning your body. And now you're gradually adding the arms. Okay, now I can imagine the whole scenario is that my second arm is grabbing the triceps. Okay, so now we're unpack the pummeling, right? That's the pummeling exercise that we worked on. So if I have my dummy, obviously if you have a partner, that's the exercise that you can do with the partner. This is my underhook. I'm imagining I'm moving my foot here. Okay, so that's essentially, that's where I am. Swimming my arm underneath. So now we also did movement when we have a body lock. So if we do a body lock, take down, I lift this arm up. I'm gonna put my knee behind his knee. I'm gonna put my head on the chest. I'm gonna lock my arms, and then I'm gonna push with my head, right? So the same thing if you do without a dummy or without a partner. Imagine that you're lifting up, you got your body lock, and then just basically pushing the person down. Again, it's all imaginary. Then you're pushing the person down. Okay? The other thing that we did, we looked into when we try to do a body lock takedown. I'm gonna go to the side. I'm here, but the person defends and moves their leg behind my leg, which is the case that we have here, right? Now from here, we did a half hip toss. So I'm just basically turning and the person is down. So you can do that exercise as well. We're pummeling. Okay, I'm lifting. Body lock cannot turn. Okay, turn. The other thing that we did also is single leg. So entries for single leg. You can also practice it at home. Again, from this position, right? This position. I'm gonna go for stepping outside. So if I imagine, let's say, if my opponent is, it's gonna be like this. You can put something on the floor, right? So this is my opponent. And if I'm going against that opponent, I'm going after the leg that is next to me, right? So usually when I'm attacking the single leg that is closest to me. I'm not gonna go the further away because I'm gonna be underneath the person. It's gonna be more challenging for me. What we could do is move the person closer to me. And in this case, this foot steps forward. So I move the person closer to me. And obviously from here, now I can go for attacking the single leg. But you can put some shoes or anything on the floor. Again, imaginary partner. I'm working with the imaginary partner. I'm stepping outside and I'm grabbing outside. Okay, and then I lift. So again, same exercise. Your head is going to the chest or to the stomach area of your opponent. Your back is straight, right? You see I'm not bending. I'm not like that. So every time if I'm moving, and we already practiced that. I'm moving, stepping outside, and outside arm grabs the leg, and then I'm picking it up, okay? Obviously, you can get to the same position when you have, we didn't talk about the collar ties, but when you have a possibility to raise the arm, just drop and pick up the leg, right? Which is, if you think about an actual person, if you have a chance to practice with the person, then I'm here. So let's say it's from collar tie, I have the inside, and then I'm gonna go and pick up the one leg that is up front. So in this case, stepping forward, picking up from the outside. Stepping forward, picking up on the outside. If you have opponent left leg forward, just like that, okay? Then obviously for me, it's a different type of position in terms of your legs, but my leg is already here, so I can just step forward outside. So you're stepping outside, grabbing outside, and then lift. Outside, outside, lift, okay? Outside, outside, lift, okay? Now you can also do, you can pick up inside, you're stepping outside, then you're picking it up, okay? It's also a possibility. In a traditional stance, if I'm gonna go attack that leg, so first this one is, I'm gonna step, pick up, step, pick up. I'm gonna attack that leg. I can go for that leg as well, but that means I have to make 2 steps. I'm gonna lift up and pick up, right? Ideal scenario, I want to move the person towards me so that this leg steps forward, and then from here, I'm able to pick up. I'm stepping outside and picking it up either from the outside or the inside, but my head is gonna go to the chest area or to the stomach area, and I try to keep my my back straight, okay? So we talked about pummeling. So the idea of pummeling, if I'm pummeling with my partner, you know, you can also put your shoes or anything like that, just basically do it like this. Obviously the second foot will not be moving, but you can imagine what you're doing here. And then you can move against the person, okay? So you can do it inside the room. You don't need anything special for this, okay? And if you want to practice a single leg, step, pick up, step, pick up, step, pick up. Okay, that's it. That's for letters. Pummeling, you know, we talked about placement of your feet, your body, and your arms. The whole letter is pummeling. Obviously, the phrase that we worked on is pummeling, body lock takedown, or half hip toss forward. And then in this case, if it's a single leg, we did a short exercise on running the pipe. So if I'm grabbing the leg, and then basically I have my leg here, and then I'm doing the pummel. So we're not going to go into that now. Just basically try to understand letters and words, pummeling and single leg. And it's all placement of your feet. It's a placement of your arms. It's a placement of your head. And then you can also practice a lot of movements. From square stance, staggered, whatever you feel is comfortable, but usually the dominant leg, which is in my case, the right leg and the right arm, are more forward, and I'm working from this position. I'm making connection with my partner with my back arm, because this one is protected. All right, thanks.